Hello and welcome to the old Flies. In a recent video, the Convair B-58 Hustler, I told how the US Air Force in the early 1950s saw the need to have built a new strategic bomber capable of outrunning Soviet interceptors whilst delivering nuclear payloads at unprecedented speeds. The result was the Convair B-58 Hustler, the world's first supersonic bomber. The Soviet interceptors that the US sought to outrun were formidable. The Soviet Union had developed and deployed several interceptor aircraft to counter potential bomber threats from NATO in an ongoing arms race. These interceptors were equipped with radar, heavy armament, cannons, rockets and later missiles, and often operated in conjunction with ground-controlled interception systems. The interceptors formed the backbone of Soviet air defences in the 1950s, evolving from gun-armed subsonic jets, the MiG-15 and MiG-17, to supersonic missile carriers MiG-19PM, Su-9 and Yak-28P. The interceptors formed the backbone of Soviet air defences in the 1950s, evolving from gun-armed subsonic jets, the MiG-15 and MiG-17, to supersonic missile carriers MiG-19PM, Sukhoi-9 and Yak-28P. By the late 1950s, the American concept of a bomber capable of outrunning a Russian Interceptor Jet had been rendered useless by the development of Russia's S-25 Berkut SA-1 and S-75 SA-2 surface-to-air missiles, or SAMs. It has been that way ever since.
Спроектировано, построено и подготовлено к испытаниям всего лишь за 1 год. Весной 1955 года система ПВО Москвы С-25 была принята на вооружение и находилась на боевом дежурстве более 30 лет. Никто в мире подобных систем больше не создавал. И хотя она не уничтожила ни одного вражеского самолета, она положила начало решению фундаментальных проблем ПВО. Ракеты системы С-25 с гордостью демонстрировали на парадах. Но иностранным разведчикам было хорошо известно, что эти ракеты защищают только Москву. Эффективной современной ПВО на огромных просторах СССР не существовало.
The early 1950s are the post-World War II and Korean War era. Tensions between the Soviet Union and the West was driving military development. Development such as the Mikoyan-Gurevich MiG-15 bis, which made its first flight in December 1947. This formidable fighter fared well against the US Air Force's F-80Cs in North Korea. It did well in its role as an air interceptor in defence. This was followed by the Mikoyan-Gurevich MiG-17 from 1951 to 1954. This was an upgraded MiG-15 with better aerodynamics and radar. Armed with 3 23mm cannons, later models could carry K-5 air-to-air missiles. Other notable aircraft were the Yak-25, 1954 to 1957, a twin-engined, two-seat interceptor. NATO called it the flashlight, armed with two 37mm N-37 cannons, later upgraded to carry K-5 or AA-1 alkali missiles. McCoy and Gurevich MiG-19, 1955 to 1959, the USSR's first supersonic interceptor. NATO called it the Farmer. The Sukhoi Su-9 entered service in 1960 but was developed in the late 1950s. It was a delta wing interceptor. NATO called it the Fishpot. No cannons, relied entirely on K-5 AA-1 alkali missiles. The Yak-28P entered service in 1960 but was developed in the late 1950s as well. This was a twin-engine supersonic interceptor known at NATO as Firebar. It was equipped with Oriole-D radar and armed with two K-8 AA-3 ANAB missiles or R-98 variants. By the late 1950s, Soviet interceptors shifted from gun-based armament to air-to-air missiles, AAMs, such as the alkali beam riding missile and the ANAB radar IR missiles as used on the Yak-28P and later the Sukhoi 11. The cost to the Soviet economy was considerable. Nowadays, Russia is the world's 11th largest economy. By comparison, Australia is the 13th largest. Russia's defence spending is estimated to be between 5.8 to 7.1% of its GDP. Australia is 2%, whilst America spends 3.4% of its GDP. Donald Trump has criticised Australia and other countries in Europe, for instance, for underspending on defence.
The people of Australia, the government they choose, will decide the exact percentages of GDP, but I think the president will have an opinion when he meets with his Australian counterpart.
Between 1960 and 2022, Israel spent 12%, but you could argue that in their case, they needed to. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe would be appreciated.